where you're already broke. I'm already taking change out of my out of my car to pay for dollar menu, and then the actual crash happens. So when that happened, I didn't really understand money, and I knew that something needed to change. And when he stated to me that it's a different form of money, I had to read the white paper, which I did, and I think I got kind of lucky because I majored in computer science. And I understood it right off the gate, and I also watched a guy you may know called Max Kaiser. If anybody knows Max Kaiser, I'm pretty sure he can convince anybody about Bitcoin. I mean, anybody that's ever seen his videos, ever heard of my RT report, that was the first person I saw talk about it. So I was very intrigued. And one of the things I noticed when people discussed Bitcoin was that it was always negative, like I stated before. If you looked at the media, it was for drug dealers. It was a Ponzi scheme. It was worse than a banana, according to Mark Cuban. I mean, it was everything under the sun. I think Charlie Munger called it a turd, or a rat turd. I mean, come on. Rat poison, yeah.
So rat poison squared.
Rat poison squared, even worse. He needs to update his insults. But a lot of the things that we saw about Bitcoin, to me, reminded me of the negative media attention that the black community gets. And to me, I grew up in the black community. I saw a lot of hardworking people who achieved a lot, who pushed past a lot of the barriers to entry. And then in the media, all of it was welfare queens and murderers and what happened tonight, these black criminals. I didn't get it. And one thing I realized was the synergy there was anything that challenges the status quo is always attacked in the media, mainstream media specifically. So I thought to myself, Bitcoin in Black America was perfect because it showed that if times are changing and Bitcoin is the thing that's doing it, our community has to be involved because there's nobody stopping you from getting into it. The barrier of entry was finally gone. And that is the only thing I think the black community has been asking for. Myself, specifically, is equal opportunity. Not necessarily equal outcome. Honestly, some people are just lazy. They're just not going to make it. But equal opportunity. That is what Bitcoin presented to me. And from a tech standpoint, I understood it, so it always works. So price never mattered. Most people, when they get into it, is like, well, number goes up. That's it. They can't really explain why. They just know the number goes up. And that is sort of the medicine and the candy. It sort of gets people in the mode of, I made this investment, or I bought this magical internet money. I see it increasing in fiat dollars. So in their mind, psychologically, this is a great thing to use. What they don't realize is you just move your money out of a fiat system that is destined to crash into what is most likely the new system that we'll be using. And with the book, one thing I wanted to outline was all of the different ways that you could not only just buy Bitcoin, buy crypto, but how you could use it, how you could set up groups, much like the one here tonight, how you could set up college blockchain groups, how you can use it for Bitcoin summer camps, for example, which I teach myself. The first one started last year. How you can use it in the job market. I believe blockchain developers make 30 to 40% more than other developers. And most of this this industry was so new. To me, I was like, black community, we missed the internet age. We didn't get the advantages of buying stocks in big companies. We didn't build a lot of the internet companies that became big. We didn't actually make a lot of money off of a boom that was $1 trillion market. But we have the opportunity now. So that was the inspiration behind the book. And a lot of the book is just solutions. I don't really harp on things that happened before. They happen. They are obstacles from before in this country. But we have to understand that from that point, we need solutions. That's what this book focuses on. So one thing I wanted to make sure I put out today is that not only in the black community, but every community, we have the opportunity to use a currency that, for one, is not based on inflation. As you can see, the CPI inflation rate, even though that formula is kind of skewed, they say it's 6.2%. Basically, you're losing 1% of your money every 30 days. That is not a good money system. We've also seen ourselves taken off the gold standard. Another thing that has seen unimaginable amount of wealth taken out of this country. We've also seen the ability for us to go to war based on decisions by people who we don't know. That is what you are funding when you use the fiat system. Bitcoin is totally opposite. And I've always said in the black community, as much as people want social change, the more you use fiat currency, you're funding your own oppression. So what are we really doing? We've had a black president. We have black lawyers, CEOs. We have black achievement, black girl magic, whatever. You see it on TV. None matters. The median wealth of the black community is basically the same since civil rights. What did it do? Nothing. Because our money system mostly is not built for you to win, especially if you're already one of the people who are, basically held back. So that's what I wanted to show with Bitcoin, is that you have opportunity to change that and to sort of change the narrative that the things that you're doing don't matter. Every community can be involved in Bitcoin. We've already seen it all around the world, all around the U.S., and especially when we talk about going to space. it definitely intrigues me because we can literally move value across time and space now. There's nothing stopping you. So that is the biggest thing I wanted to present to the black community. That's why I wrote the book. The first version was more of an entry level. The second version is a little bit more advanced. Talks about private wallets, talks about running Lightning nodes, talks about Bitcoin and marriage, because believe it or not, I've talked to a few judges. Not a lot of people are understanding that there are a lot of people holding Bitcoin and crypto, and when that alimony and that divorce comes around, judges don't even know what to do. And one of the things I hit on too is, I know a lot of people say this may be kind of an old trope, but Bitcoin really is, if you solve the money, you solve everything. Biggest reason for divorce is money reasons. Number one group with divorces is the black community. Why would we not immerse ourselves into a different type of money system that may actually change that in the future? So that's in the second book as well as international remittance payments, Caribbean to Africa, because a lot of the black community does have family outside of the U.S. So all of that's in the second book, and I just wanted to make sure that we have solutions. That's all I care about, solutions. I don't really cry about what happened before. I don't really care about what people have done to you. What are you going to do from here? So that is what these books are written for, and that is why I wrote Bitcoin in Black America. So from here, I wanted to see if I could grab a drink real quick. But also too, I wanted to actually do more Q&A than speaking, because you can read the book for yourself if you want to. But I wanted more Q&A just to discuss more of the solutions that I've discussed, as well as some others that may come. Yes, sir, in the back.
With the
let's
mic.
try to get mics so
Yeah.
the viewers can get these questions too.
Thank you for coming to speak. First off,
Yes, sir.
and I noticed you had a recently had a meeting with Mayor Suarez out in Miami and talk about what they've been doing with Miami Coin, doing everything they can to make the system open with Bitcoin acceptance out there. What insights have you taken away with your interactions with Mayor Suarez that you want to take and bring with the black communities here in the country?
Okay. So I just got named project lead for the Miami Coin and Stacks initiative in Miami, so I'll be moving there in January. And I've been working with the mayor for the past 3 months or so. So if you've seen a lot of Mayor Suarez news come out, not trying to toot my own horn, but that's why it's coming out so much now. He's getting his salary in Bitcoin. He earned a Bitcoin yield with Stacks. He just had an innovation day where every single business in Miami can sign up to get a payment processor for Miami Coin. So all of that is happening, and some of the work that we're doing is showing that Bitcoin as a security layer is amazing. Stacks as a DeFi layer is emerging. Miami Coin as a utility token, because the goal is to get rid of taxes for good locally. And the thing is, it's not just the black community, it's the entire Miami community, because again, it affects us all. But how much more would that help in black communities that are disparaged or don't have the money to pay that? You take away taxes, you have a cheaper rate for utilities, for goods. That's what we're working on now. So first in Miami, have a meeting with Detroit next week, and I think Austin is coming very soon. So I think a lot of cities are starting to see we could basically use renewable energy, much like El Salvador, use volcano energy for mining to where they can decrease taxes to almost zero. We do the same thing locally, but actually build globally. And one thing I wanted, as far as specific to the black community, is allies. If you ever look at any movement for black people to get equal rights, it's us as allies, but it's not international, all around the world allies. We have people we don't even like that are working with us because it's Bitcoin. That's the best part. You don't have to like each other. You don't have to agree. Religion, so I don't care about any of that. Your political leanings, who cares? We're all working on the same goal because we're literally fighting against like 200 people that run the Federal Reserve. It's all of us versus them. So I think if we understand that, you just get to the point where you understand building community is a lot easier. And that's what we're trying to do in Miami and expand locally.
All right, thanks so much.
Yes, sir.
More questions? We got one in the front here.
I have a question for you. It's pretty obvious, the weaknesses in fiat currency. And since you're so immersed in Bitcoin, I wanted to see if maybe you could take us to the future a little bit. 2020 now, where do you see the financial system in relation to cryptocurrency and also fiat currency in the year 2040?
So 2040, 20 years from now. Well, I don't necessarily think Bitcoin will replace all fiat currency completely by that time. Maybe a little bit later. But statistically speaking, every fiat currency has failed. And if you have a replacement for that, then you should go to that replacement. If not, you're failing an open book test. You know what's going to happen. Why don't you do something about it? So by 2040, I think Bitcoin will be the dominant reserve currency. Fiat may be used for day-to-day spending, but then we also have stable coins. And we also have other forms of currency that has more liquidity enters the market. It will be easier to be used as payments. That's why I think a lot of people are excited about Lightning. That's why people are excited about other crypto projects as well with DeFi. Because as more liquidity comes, volatility decreases, the medium of exchange error happens on that money effect curve. And basically with Bitcoin, what I see is the ability to store its value, the ability to spend it in countries where it's not more incentive to use your dollar. Because here we have a relatively stable dollar, right? Even though long term it's not, it's relatively stable, right? So our best use case isn't necessarily spending it, but in Venezuela and El Salvador, my friends in Nigeria. It's actually a better medium of exchange than what they already have. That's going to come to other countries as well. So that's what I see happening by 2040. Global reserve asset, at least $100 trillion market. Michael Saylor stole my talking points. If anybody saw I've been saying that for years. But as far as how money goes, most institutions don't have a choice but to capitulate into a system that is better money. And that's what I think will happen by 2040. I also think that talking with people at Art Basel this past week, people who are working in space change are coming. Space race, the ability, if we have mining in space for goods, I don't even want to get into gold and silver because they might outdo that on another planet. But if we're mining for goods, we're not paying them with dollars. We're not paying them with gold. We're not paying them with, in my opinion, a CBDC because we won't even look at countries' lines as different countries. I think it'll be more open, so it will be with cryptocurrency. And I think that will be happening about 2040. Yes, sir.
Sarah and I worked on a project over Thai food one night that we came up with Space Coin. and it was geolocated, so you couldn't use it on Earth. There was alcohol involved. Maybe other things. Kylan, first?
Yeah, that's all right. Cool.
Check. All right. So I guess my question, I'll be kind of blunt with it, is sometimes I see online that people are saying that cryptocurrency is dominated by white people, essentially, right? I was wondering if in your experience that's true, and let's say hypothetically it is true, are there forces, we'll call them political or cultural, that are nudging minorities or African Americans away from cryptocurrency?
All right, so great question. To answer, are African Americans or black people using it? Yes, actually the #1 demographic more likely to use cryptocurrency is black people, based on the recent poll by Coinbase. 24% African Americans, 17% white, or 17% Asian, 14% white. So it's actually more likely for the black community to use it, but we have less people. So it may look white dominated, but it's not necessarily the case. Another thing is access. I know thousands of black people who use crypto, who use Bitcoin. They've never been on CoinDesktop 100. They've never done an interview. They've never been in a magazine. I've been in plenty, and the first thing I do is mention the dozens of people that I know doing the same work. They just don't get the look. One thing I've seen is that nobody's nudging them away, but what happens is if you don't have access, if you don't have education, if you don't know about it, that's what happens. That's why I do what I do, because as soon as people hear about it, I haven't met one person who understands Bitcoin, who understands cryptocurrency, where we're going, and just said, nah, that's never going to happen. You just haven't. It may take some time, but that's just what it is. So I think it's more about education. That's why education is so important to me. And that's why I teach, like I said, the Bitcoin summer camp to make sure the next generation doesn't miss it. So I don't think black people are being left out. And also, too, we have a very American slanted view. If you look at the world, there's more black and brown people than white people, period. So if you look at Nigeria, like I said before, Ghana, Kenya, some of the places I've been before, that's not the case. It's just not. But in America, it seems like it. which I understand because again, media who may know this I have a problem with. They make it seem that way because I've seen too many articles. It's like all the crypto bros are getting together and making all the money, and it's like, no, it's not. A lot more than that, which is fine. I mean, however they want to characterize it, but I think it does a disservice to think only one group is benefiting when in actuality there's many. So, thank you. Yes, sir.
Yeah, so I think we all believe that Bitcoin has great potential for social change. But I've noticed that when I try and convince people on it, they just really aren't into it. So the way I try and sell it is like, come for the money, stay for the revolution. Do you find a similar approach is effective, or do you feel like selling people on the more social aspect of it up front is better than the financial incentive?
Oh yeah, well, human greed is very strong. So yes, that would be usually the first way to go about it. That's actually how I started my book, was discussing how that's how I thought. I'm just gonna make a lot of money, buy some Lambos, move out the country. And then you realize that's not what it's about at all. Like, I have no desire to buy a Lambo now at this point. But it's funny because for most people, you have to meet them where they are. And most people don't understand the basics of investing, delayed gratification, looking at a low time preference, and planning generational wealth. Most people just haven't thought about that. So I start where they are. For most people is, I need to make money. I remind them, yes, that can happen, but you can also lose your shirt and your retirement, your savings, your child's college fund for some people. So I make sure I give them both the good and bad. I start there and then meet them where they are. If they work a job, for example, if you're an accountant, if you don't know how to do crypto taxes, you probably won't have a job in the next 5 years. If you're an engineer, why would you not enter into the crypto and blockchain market where you can make more money? If you're a project manager, there's plenty of companies that need project managers. Design, UX, all of that stuff. So I meet people where they are. I describe it to them in the terms that they understand. Usually it starts with greed, but then they always stay for the technology. Right?
What wallets do you recommend people?
Edwallet. Been using it for years. Appreciate it. Back when it was Airbits.
Nice.
Yeah,
Thank you so
I
much.
used to use the directory, and nobody was accepting it where I was at in Charlotte, North Carolina. We had 2 places, and when I got there, they were like, "Oh, it's online. It's not even in person."
Paul, are you ready to make a new announcement?
No, I was going to ask Isaiah a question.
Okay.
Thanks first of all, for coming out. So, in your book, you had mentioned when you were trying to onboard people, a lot of your peers in the Black community, and they had heard about like Silk Road getting busted, Mt. Gox, they kind of like really shied away, were kind of alienated by that, thought it was a scam. Looking back, have a lot of those people turned around and came around and now kind of realize, or are they still frictioned by some concerns that they had from back in 2013, 2014? How has it looked as far as the transition from when you first wrote your original book and the people you talked about to today?
It's definitely changed a lot. I think even though some people may not like it, when Elon Musk talks about it, when Mark Cuban talks about it, when famous rappers and musicians and athletes start taking payments in it, they stop remembering or thinking about the old media or whatnot. Some people don't even know what Silk Road is. They didn't even know that was a thing. But I think that's sort of gone now. I think it's funny because it's almost a foregone conclusion to a lot of people. This is where we're going, but they don't really know what they're doing. So it's not really a pushback about, it's criminals, it's for that. I think people realize it's a legitimate currency, but for the most part, I think long term, they just have to learn what to do with it and how it actually works. But it has been a huge change, I will say that. Because most people's first thing they would tell me was an article, a literally quoted article from CNBC or from wherever else. And I would say, did you actually look at the white paper? Did you actually read, study? No. But I heard in the news, this dude got robbed for $50 million worth of Bitcoin. Did Bitcoin fail? Did Bitcoin? And it's like, no. That's like saying somebody robbed a bank. Did cash fail? No. That person. So, yeah, it's a little bit of an education there, but yeah, it's pretty much gone away at this point.
All right, cool. I got one more in the back here. I don't know if you can.
Hey. Hello?
Hey, what's up, boss?
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Hey, I just want to say congratulations on the new job. And I'm curious, as I know you're an old school Bitcoiner. How does this, I've heard about Miami Coin. I don't really know anything about it. So I'm curious how you think, does it matter for anybody outside of Miami? And what is, if you can just explain it to, like, what is it? And
Yeah, no problem. Okay, so Bitcoin being used as a security layer 1. STX is the protocol that builds smart contracts on top of that using a protocol called proof of transfer. All right. All that means is you prove that you have stacks in the liquidity pool, you earn Bitcoin yield. That was basic news that we came out of Miami, that anybody who has that can earn Bitcoin yield over time. Now, Miami Coin was built on top of that as a utility token, a way to save on services and goods in the city of Miami specifically. The company who created it, City Coins, their goal is to push it to every city. They've already, like I said before, pushed it to San Francisco, New York, with their new mayor, Eric Adams. Austin's next. We got Detroit. I got to talk to next week, a few others. So the use case of it is in your local economy, being able to save money to the point where, or in businesses as well, to the point where there's no local tax. Because if you have a treasury built on the fact that if I spend in my city, if I mine this coin in my city, 30% goes to the city, 70% comes to me. The city has a treasury where we don't have taxes, and I'm also saving 10 to 20% on every purchase. Puts more money in your pocket, and you earn Bitcoin at a time where it's very hard to buy it. So it basically solves most of the issues regular users have in the Bitcoin space. And the only reason for it, in my opinion, is we need a bridge to the medium of exchange era for spending Bitcoin. Because I'm gonna be honest, how many people want to spend their Bitcoin right now? Nobody wants to spend it. I do it because it's for different reasons. Lightning Network, giving people gifts, but I don't want to spend it. So if I have a utility token where I can both spend it and save money, as well as earn Bitcoin yield while using Bitcoin security layer, that's what those are for, and that's what we're working on now.
That's really interesting. So let me just ask, so the people taking the other side of the trade, the people that are going to be buying it,
Yes.
they're going to be the local people in the community, and basically the advantage would be that they are saving, say, like sales tax or something.
Yes, or more, depending on the business. Businesses have started giving discounts on it already.
Sure.
Yes, so that would be, and also too, it's not just that city. Speculators from anywhere in the world can actually purchase it.
Interesting. You have like international market making.
Exactly. So if you bet on Miami, or if you think that Miami people will or New York or wherever, speculators can actually enter the market and actually drive that price growth as well.
Interesting. I had one more question too. I'm just curious how you think, when you're trying to kind of like proliferate Bitcoin to the Black community, how do you? What is the best way to get it out in mass? So, for instance, people aren't, hearing from like influencers, like they're not buying a Takashi NFT, or you know what I'm saying? They're not buying the DJ Khaled coin. How do you get them onto like a quality standard? Buy Bitcoin and not DJ Khaled coin.
Right. I think the best way, unfortunately, is at this point, famous people talking about Bitcoin is how people learn about it. Them actually learning the use case and how Bitcoin actually works comes from the work done from people like myself. People like Lamar Wilson. We started Black Bitcoin Billionaires, got 130,000 people in the group. We teach every single day.
137.
137, exactly. And we teach every single day. Another way is I have a daily show I do Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific. We answer questions every day. Whole community of people, black, brown, doesn't matter. Just doing the work, putting out books, educational resources. Because again, I'm not famous. I can talk to them blue in the face, but if Jay-Z comes out and says, I got Bitcoin, millions of people are going to run and go get it. Meg Thee Stallion, who else? OBJ, Odell Beckham. I'm not famous, so it doesn't really matter if I'm saying that. I'm just there for when they hear about it. Well, who can I learn from? And that's where I come in, and others as well. So I think that's the biggest way people learn about it, just in general. But the education portion is, the best educators I know in Bitcoin usually have like 500 followers on Twitter, and they don't come out in public much. So it's not as if people don't know, they're just not famous.
And I'll also say about the community too, like being in Miami 4 or 5 years ago, I remember every single working girl on the strip, they all had a Bitcoin wallet. And they were using it because it worked. And they knew how to do it. So when Backpage canceled credit cards, they had to figure it out. So then it was Bitcoin. So they started using that. And I remember also selling Bitcoins at the time, to some guys who rolled up in crazy cars. And they were using it to Silk Road. on the other side, it's like my logical leap in terms of, but again, it was like the actual utility of the currency that enabled that. So that just speaks like the real raw value of crypto. The more people understand it and see it in action, they'll just keep using it. And I hope those girls all kept a little bit. Like,